Today show Saturday.
Hey everybody, it's SimplyAubs here with me, Sweet P. Thanks for the nickname, Aubs.
Yeah, sorry, I just kind of gave it to her. Hey, Heather.
Hey Heather, how are you this Saturday?
Yep, fine day, must say. Yep. So I'm still trying to what do you call it? Work stuff out-ish. Oopsie.
We're getting there. I think we're getting better every week.
Well,
practice.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all we can do.
Yep. So, but thanks for tuning in and showing up, and we would like to talk about acts of kindness.
Yeah, I mean we've talked on it a couple of different times or mentioned, just being kind to folks, and I think it's very important that people practice that every day, whether it's with friends, loved ones, family members, household members, and obviously strangers, people you just meet out and about. There's a guy, Lou Buscaglia, sorry about that. He's a motivational speaker. And he said that, too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, and listening ear, an honest opinion, or a compliment. And just the smallest act of caring that you can show to somebody, all of which can have the absolute potential just to turn somebody's life around. You never know day to day people you run into, people you work with, what might be going on in their life. And just a simple, kind word can mean so much to somebody.
Yeah, and that's true. Actually, I can kind of take it away, tell my story ish.
Go ahead.
So basically, how do I say? Overall, so basically, when I woke up from my coma in the hospital, I was like, firstly, what's going on? Where am I? And why is my mom here? Because she was supposed to be in Honduras at their home there. That's where my dad grew up. And anyway, so they spend a couple months down there each year now. So I'm like, can't retire, I can't ruin their retirement party, right? I mean, that's awful. So anyways, all that came down to, me wrap it up. You want to pull me in. But no.
Where are you going with this?
So I'm trying to say is I came back to three things, basically, that encompass my life, if you will. Like, one, surround yourself with people. People you love, people that are good, people that matter. Number two, do the stuff that matters. And then three, above all else, do things that mean something. So, and I believe, because I was very much on top of, like, nurses. After 4 months in the hospital, I'm like, nurses, you realize, are amazing. And they, do so much. And I'm like, for me, crazy. A lot. I mean.
Yeah, nurses are the heart of a hospital, for sure.
Correct. And something I don't think I've ever told except for Paula. But I'm like, I was in diapers for a couple months. Yep, 36-year-old woman in diapers because I could not walk and get to the bathroom. So I'm like, they changed my diaper. Anyway, so it's amazing.
Okay, so going back to kindness. Yes. Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have heard this quote of hers that says, I have learned that people will forget what you said, will forget what you did, but will never forget how you made them feel.
Right, yeah.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Oh, yep. Hey there, Tom.
And it's so very true. And you hope what it is that people are remembering about how you made them feel. I hope you're hoping that it's something that made someone feel good. Because certainly people remember the bad stuff as well. They might not remember the exact cross words you said to them or some sort of misdeed you did in their life, but they know how they felt at that moment.
Correct, yeah.
And it's so easy to make someone feel so good about themselves.
Yes, yes.
And it takes so very little. I've never mentioned this before. I used to manage at Waffle House.
Yep. Did. I love Waffle House. Great.
And before I got on as a manager, I had to, I did some training, but they also sent you to Waffle House University.
Wow.
And one of the things that they taught us there, or stressed to us, is, and it's a form of kindness, is in managing your associates, is how you deal with them. And one thing they, tried to drive in, is sometimes you have to be harsh, to get your point across or to make them follow the rules or do their job correctly. But always, you never know what someone has going on at home.
Right.
And what's going on in their lives. A lot of people don't, just are very private and they don't mention it. So just always be kind to them. Get your point across, but you don't have to be just a dick about it.
Correct. Hey, Nor.
Hey, Nor. How are you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And after I left Waffle House, which is like 2 or 3 shows in itself. But anyway, there's this thing called the waiter rule in the service industry, in the restaurant industry. Have you ever heard of the waiter rule?
I may have. I fit my head
Okay.
since then.
It says the way that someone treats the wait staff shows how they often feel about and treat those who are perceived to be of lower class or a lower status. Not necessarily. I'm not saying at all that a wait staff is a lower class at all. It's a very hard job and requires quite a bit of intellect to do it if you do it successfully. But some people perceive that, and you can just watch people in the way they treat wait staff.
Yeah.
I know when I waited tables for 5 years, one of the best jobs I ever had. Absolutely loved it. And I would walk up to a table, introduce myself, say, hey, folks, my name's Paula. And before anything else would say, a lot of times the customer would just look at me and say, I'll have sweet tea, please.
Yeah.
Not even an acknowledgement that I'm standing there as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just someone just there to take an order. I'm a keypad, basically.
Yeah.
And for those customers that did come in, some that took the time to learn my name, learn a little bit about me, and I in turn did the same with them, it just makes for a more pleasant interaction.
Yeah.
And it, and some of these people were just terrible at tips, but they were so kind that it was not the tip. It was just the way they treated me.
Yep. Yep. That is true.
So it's I don't know. I mean, I always make sure when a waiter comes up to, or server comes up to a table. Of course, we've not been out to eat since early 2020.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's been a while, but I always make sure I make eye contact with them.
Yeah.
Listen to their name.
Correct.
Repeat their name because I'll forget it if I don't.
Yeah.
Smile to them, ask them how they're doing. Have some sort of positive personal interaction with them.
Yes.
And not just look at them as somebody there just to serve you, because they're there to do their job, obviously, but still, it's good to be kind to them. And here in America, please make sure you tip.
That is true. Definitely, how do you say? Well, I was a server for a lot, how do you say, less, or just not to her level, but I'm it give me a kick in the rear, be all right, make sure you recognize people. And then in my Starbucks career, I'm people just walk up and order something, decaf grande, Americano, and not even look at me. I'm and if I'm a server, whatever, I'm at the cashier at the gas station and getting the order, I would prefer somebody to look at me and see what's going on.
Came from Amazon, Heather. Thank you.
Gosh, yep.
The on-air sign.
See, yep, she got it for me a long time ago. Anyway, so excited. And yes, side note, I had to find a way to have it in the shot. Oops. Yep.
And more, then we just wanted to kind of go over just some ways, easy ways to show kindness that you can do every day and reach multiple types of people, different people in your lives that you come across. 8 years ago, I quit my job to become the caregiver for my stepdad.
Yeah.
And there was a fellow that worked with me at the office, Robert. After I left, every day, Monday through Friday, he would send me a text message, just simply, good morning.
Yeah.
We're now 8 years past since I left the office, and he still does it. Every Monday through Friday, I get a text from Robert, good morning. Good morning, how are you doing? Happy Friday, whatever it may be. There was a break.
Gosh. Sorry.
A few years back, I didn't get a text from him.
Yep.
And it rocked on a few days, and I would reach out to him and didn't get anything, only to find out he had been in the hospital, or still was in the hospital, and he was very ill. His appendix had ruptured, and it was kind of a little bit touch and go there for a while for him. He was very, very ill. And I found out, of course, I was very concerned for him, but I realized then how much those text messages really mean to me.
Yeah.
It's just nice to reach out and say hello.
Yeah, it's true. And it's a little thing like that where you're like, what? But I'm like that showed me, I'm like, whoa, you made an impact on him.
But he's making an impact on me too. A very positive impact on me. Nora's another one. We lost touch. We connected through Instagram, and we banter back and forth, either making comments on each other's posts or through DMs. And then I lost contact with Nora.
Yeah.
And quite a few years went by, and just a few months ago?
Yeah.
She reached out to me again, and it was just like, just to know that time can pass and you're remembered and somebody thought enough of you to reach out again.
Yes.
It's really heartwarming.
Yeah.
And really does a lot just to make you feel good about yourself.
And that was the thing. I got to meet her too, so I'm like, oh, bonus. Like, it's cool. I'm like, that I can be friends with her too. And I mean, she lives on the other side of the world, but I mean, she's been through similar things that I have. Mm-hmm. So it's awesome to see that, and she has similar likes as her. So I mean, all these things, I'm like, whoa. And also, by the way, hi to Tanner. I can't pull it over on.
Oh, hey Tanner, how are you?
What do you call it? Over here, yeah. Still working on it. And then I see Chris watching. Hey.
And another classmate of mine from high school, this was back before Facebook days, and actually during the infancy of the internet, classmates.com. Did you ever use that? Was that a thing? Yeah, okay, too soon for you, sorry.
What?
Oh yeah, well it was. You were 99, you graduated?
98.
Okay, you were still in school, so you wouldn't need it. But it was a way of, I don't know where they got the information, but they would have, I guess you could sign on. I really don't remember, and put your information down. But Savannah reached out to me on classmates.com, and we had not spoken in 17 or 18 years at that point. And then we would keep, she had a young child at the time, and then a few years later I had a baby. So you get really busy in your lives.
Yeah.
But then she reached out again, and just happened to be a time that I was going through some, difficult situations in my personal life. And she's another one. Every day, some days we talk, text, because we don't really talk on the phone, but some days we'll text messages, and have a conversation. Other days we may be busy, but it's always, hey, happy Monday, or thinking about you, or hoping your day went well. Just a little, hey, I'm thinking about you type thing.
Yeah, just to kind of reach out and touch and be like, hey, you were thought of.
Right.
Like, yeah, sorry.
So, and another act of kindness, and this is something that, hey, I love you, Nor. You mean a lot to me. You really do. Something that Aubrey is really good at, and something I've learned from Aubrey and have tried to incorporate into what I do, is whenever we're in a store, a retail establishment, Aubrey, if the associate, the employee has a name tag, she'll call them by name, or she'll ask them by what their name is, so she can talk to them, and she engages in a conversation. You know, it's never quick or deep because I mean they're working, but you're always so good at acknowledging these people. You thank them for being there.
Well, thank you. That is one thing, yeah, I wanted to make sure when I was in the hospital. I think that's where it kicked it off. Number one, I'm alive. Whoa! But number two, I'm like, well, also working at Starbucks showed me an apple, but I'm like, being able to just know someone's name, be able to call them by name, be thankful by name for them, what they are doing.
Do you know what everybody's favorite word is?
Their name.
Exactly.
Yep.
People love to be acknowledged by their name.
Yep.
Yeah, good. Yeah, this point Heather's making there. I mean, it does. It means a lot. It's and when I waited tables, there were times I would just ask the customer their name, and sometimes I would, after they would pay, I would watch how they paid, and if it was shows the age of me here, by check or credit card, I would go to the cashier and say, "Hey, what was their name?"
Yeah.
You know, and I'd write it down, and I'd have some way so I could remember who the name went to. So the next time they came in, you know, I made very sure that I could call them by name.
Yeah.
Yes, that does help as far as your tips go.
Yeah.
But it also brings the customer back to the restaurant, so it helps the restaurant. It helps everybody. But I think more importantly, it just makes a connection as people.
Yes.
And I think that's a lot of times where we fail. We just get so busy in our lives that we fail to connect to others and miss out on so much by not doing so.
Correct. Because, yeah, I could even go down to, it's free. Like, just reaching out and saying something to someone, it's free. So, Jordan over on Facebook, sorry, I can't read, or can't bring it over here, said, that is so lovely. It's so nice to be called by name, even just quickly. See? Like, you understand how it is. I remember I was driving by my cough cart, and you were sitting at a pizza joint, but you were on the patio, and you were like, hey, I went by. I didn't even recognize who it was. So, but I got to, what is it, a Facebook message you or something, like, hey, were you there? But you said hi to me.
I'll do that a lot on the golf cart. I don't even know the people.
Correct.
And I just guess at what their name might be.
How? Really?
Yeah, just to, you know, like, hey, Bobby, and it might be Steve or Jimmy or it could be anything, but just to acknowledge them.
Yeah. Well, and that is something I think is really cool here in Peachtree City. It's like on the golf cart, people wave at you. You know, I'm like...
That's such a Southern thing.
Oh.
Right? The waving.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird at first, but I'm like... Then I was like, all right, just go with it, Aubrey. And... tying back to the just acknowledge, like, I was like, you know what? Just tell them, you know, hey, I'm alive, you know. So I had that always in the back of my head. But I'm like, this is awesome. Just, hey, thanks for, or good to see it, you know.
Right.
But
right. And another thing you do that I think is an act of kindness is when you write your thank you notes.
Oh,
and it might be to the barista at Starbucks. Our neighbor brought us, she made some little goodies right after we moved in. Of course, I mean, etiquette says you write a thank you note, but more and more that's being lost in today's world, or it's a quick email or whatever. But you do an a old-fashioned, handwritten thank you note.
Yeah. Oh, and this, by the way, this was the neighbor who saw me fall on my butt.
But she didn't laugh.
Well, no, she ran over. She was very, concerned. Like, she wanted to make sure I was okay. And I'm like, I'm just dumbass, but okay. And sorry. Hey there, Hannah. Hey, good to see you. And thank you, Jordan. Oh, and Luis. Hey, man. sorry, Facebook cannot bring it over yet.
Yeah, and Jordan says, too, that's my favorite thing about the South. I smile and wave at everyone. But, you know, you can go into some bigger cities, especially up north, and they think it's kind of annoying.
And there's the train, by the way.
But it is something we've always done in the South. I mean, you can be walking down the street, and if you're close enough to someone, hey, how are you doing?
Yep.
Don't even know them, but it's just something that's, I guess, ingrained.
Yeah, and yeah, that's something I know. It's like they talk South first. I'm like, dude, I actually think it's kind of cool, and I'm definitely on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll do it and get ignored, or sometimes even on the golf cart I'll wave and people don't wave. But I figure that's their choice. I'm still gonna wave.
Oh,
You know,
here's
like
a
it or
side note story. I think it's hilarious. Well, when I was in the hospital, and I was in the third hospital, and my what do you call her? She was my, what do you call it, speech therapist. So started to have me, or she had a challenge. So I had to go to certain things and ask or find certain objects in the hospital and do this and that. And so we happened to be walking all over, and of course I got my walker, and it was a mess, but the thing about me, I'm not an extrovert at all. But what do I say? Well,
Introverted extrovert.
Well, extroverted introvert.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So I like talking to people, and I got to where I'm just like, basically, yeah, just talk to people, see how they're doing, you know. And if they're in hospital, it's probably not awesome. But anyway, so we were going up and down the elevator, and my, what do you call that? Therapist, yeah, Katie, she was like, I'm just talking, hey, how you doing? You know, just small talk-ish. I didn't think annoying, but when we got done, Katie's like, you don't have to talk to everybody. I'm like, what? I wasn't talking to everybody. I was just saying hi, a little small talk. But
being kind is what you were doing.
Well, thank you.
Right?
But yeah, she definitely was not used to. Oh, and that was also in California. So, well, actually, yeah, I was in San Francisco at St. Mary's.
Yeah, well, Heather mentioned, too, that out in California, she would, saying hello or waving to people, that she would sometimes just get really weird looks from folks.
Really?
Because it's not a normal thing, I don't think, outside of the South.
Oh, yeah. So, Jordan, yeah, got the weirdest looks. See? In California.
And, one thing there's a lot of things about the pandemic that's just really turned our lives upside down. But the one thing to me that I really miss is, well, for us older folks, when we smile, you can tell because you can see the little wrinkles around our eyes. But you can't, I still smile at people.
Yeah.
But I have on a mask, and I want to say, hey, I'm smiling at you, or I'm acknowledging you, or something.
Right, yeah.
And some people catch it, some don't, but it's, I miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true, and that's what I'm looking forward to. It's like you kind of think, well, what do you call it? With your show emotion, with your eyes, with the elbows. No, eyebrows. That's what I was trying to say.
You show a lot with your eyes. I know I was in the grocery store back several months ago and was purchasing some beer. And of course, you have to card people to make sure they're old enough. And even with my mask on, she could tell I was old enough to buy.
Really? And that you didn't like that?
Well, just shows, wow. I've got old eyes.
On where you are, because sometimes I've gotten carded, sometimes I don't.
But by law, they're supposed to. They have to.
Oh, well,
by law. But
there you go.
I didn't. Another act of kindness is call and check on an elderly friend or relative or neighbor.
Yeah.
Particularly now with the pandemic where so many are just isolated and have been isolated for a while. Just a quick phone call. How are you doing? can I go to the store? Can I run some errands for you? You know, is there anything I can get for you? I know after Mom died, she had several friends that she talked to on a pretty consistently regular basis, 2 or 3 of them daily. And I've tried to stay in touch with them and just check in with them to see how they're doing and, you know, just give them updates on our lives and hear what's going on in their lives as well.
Yeah. And here I was like, you don't have to do that. That's another thing. But I'm like, it caught me, gave me a good punch in the butt. Because I'm like, dude, she is doing the best thing, if you will. It's like she is actually still talking to her mom's friends and checking on them.
Well, you know, but I mean, they did so much for Mom, especially that last year of her life as she started to decline, because it got more and more difficult to talk to her. And then with her hallucinations and her delusions, sometimes it would just be freaky to talk to her. But they still did. They still stayed in touch with her. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, Mom knew who she was talking to. Sometimes I don't know that she did. Yeah. But they did so much for Mom that, yeah, I think, I hate to say the word deserve, but they do. They deserve acknowledgement for what they've helped me with Mom.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, showing you acts of kindness.
Right.
Maybe even not directly, but with your mother.
Right.
Like, but then you turning around and continuing to show kindness. That's awesome. Yeah. And it really caused me to be like, oh, yeah. See, because I was like, no, forget about them. Do our own thing. But
yeah, but also, too, and this goes into another act of kindness, and it's a little bit difficult to do right now, but volunteering at assisted living or at nursing homes, especially if you have a talent like singing, or, you know, they look for 2 people to do Bible study or crafts or games that you can play. After my stepdad passed away, his last 8 or 9 months, he was in assisted living. Lucy and I visited him, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. And during those visits, you know, we made connections with some of the other residents there, because we would stop and speak to people and talk to them and, you know, kind of got to know them. And then after Tom died and we were no longer going there, you know, wow, we found out we really miss seeing these folks. Yeah. So we had an opportunity to volunteer once a week, and we went in and we played bunco as a group. And a lot of the residents couldn't play, you know, didn't know the rules, but it didn't matter. It was just connecting with them, something different for them to do, different people for them to see. And Lucy and I were there one time, and one of the residents was not there to play cards, Miss Amy, and she was always sitting ready to go when we walked in. And so I asked one of the staff, I said, "Where's Miss Amy?" And they said, "Well, she's in her room. She's not doing well at all. We don't really expect her to be around much longer." So I asked, I said, "Could I go up and see her?" Yeah. They said, "Sure you can, but she's not going to respond. She's transitioning, actively transitioning." So I went up, and her son was there, and I spoke to him for a little bit and said some words to Miss Amy and let her know what, you know, how much I enjoyed visiting with her and the impact that she had had on Lucy and me. And then I went back down, and I was visibly upset. And on the way home, Lucy made the comment. She said, "I don't know that I can keep coming here." I said, "Why?" And she said, "When Miss Amy dies, I'm really going to be upset." And I said, "Yeah, I am too, Lucy." I said, I'm very upset. But you've got to look beyond that. It's the joy we're bringing to the people that are there, especially Lucy being a child. Yeah. They really loved having young people there. And I said, you might not see it now, but they're having such a positive impact on your life. Yeah. And when you're grown, you'll see it. You'll always remember this. And I'm not going to make you come if it's too much for you, but I really and truly encourage that you do. Yeah. And we did. We kept going, and of course then the pandemic, so it's kind of just died off. Yeah. But so volunteering at assisted living, is an act of kindness on your part, but what you get out of it is you just get so much more out of it.
Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah. And that is true, and that is something, I'd like to encourage, because I got to go in on the tail end of some before everything shut down. But, I mean, it's just so cool, well, for me to watch her and Lucy interact with them, but they were so excited to see them play bunco. I'm like, how do you play? I don't know, you just roll dice, you know? I'm like, but they care. And I'm like, it's just so sweet, you know? Like, some of them don't have a clue what's going on, but it's basically just people are taking the time.
Right, and it's something different in their day, because they're there day in and day out.
Correct.
And it's just another activity for them. Any acts of kindness that you like to do? I know we mentioned about the card writing and how you acknowledge people by names.
Yeah, well, and that's something that, like I say, I need to get back to where I'm wanting to, because I started the year and I wrote a note every day. Somebody different, just randomly. But I kind of got away from that. Oopsie. But, okay, getting back on that. And let's see, what else? Because, well, don't go too much.
No. One thing Lucy and I try to do whenever we're out, like if we're having to run to the grocery store or going to a store for anything, is if we see an elderly person loading their car up, taking their items from the shopping cart to put into their car, we always go up and ask if we can help.
Yeah.
Or kind of, sometimes you have to play it, because sometimes they're offended. Like, I can do this. I'm not old.
Yeah.
But, we still ask. And then, to me, one thing I always do in when I park and going into a grocery store is if I see somebody finishing up unloading their grocery cart, I'll just say, hey, can I take your cart for you? And go ahead and take it back for them.
Yeah.
It's such you're going in anyway. And people are just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And it's like, okay, I'm really not making much of an effort here, but it's such an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it is true. It's those little acts of kindness.
Right. Our former neighbors, Chris. I'm trying to think of their last name. Their last name is like a first name. Andrew, Chris, Steve, Morgan, Ethan. Andrew passed away.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Tracy. That's their last name. Unfortunately, their son, Andrew, who is Lucy's age, passed away a couple of years ago, right after the Christmas holidays. And after Hanukkah as well. Because, anyway, Andrew's birthday is in August, and one of the things that his family has started that I just think is phenomenal is on Andrew's birthday, they have these cards printed that has Andrew's Angels, I believe is what's written on there.
Yeah.
And if you want the cards, they'll give you 5, however many you want, and it's to perform an act of kindness.
Yeah.
So you can, buy the coffee for the person behind you in the checkout, or a meal for somebody that's behind you in a line, at a restaurant or something, or a meal for somebody at a restaurant. Whatever little act of kindness you want to do it, and then give them that card. Yeah. And it's for them to, pass it forward, play it forward. And I just think it's such a beautiful way to memorialize Andrew.
Yes.
He was a very kind little young man. He was really special guy, but I just think it's just fantastic that they do that, and they do this every single year. And Lucy and I always, hold our arms up. Hey, Chris, we still want to do this, and we'll get the cards in the mail, or she'll bring them to the house, and we go out and do our random acts of kindness, hand out the card, and then in hopes, it continues on.
Yep. And sorry, just wanted to say hi, Christy. Sorry, can't figure out how to bring her coming up over here. But hey! But that is a good thing. Like, actually, what paying it forward, it's like not only encouraging people to be positive and encouraging the others, but keep on going. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's just a simple little thing to do, like letting someone go in front of you in line at the grocery store.
yeah.
Just so many little things that you can do that you never know the impact that you have on someone's life. So I was going to ask you, what's the kindest thing someone has ever done for you?
Oh, man. Well, you know how to ask me stuff, right?
Right out of the blue.
Yeah. And I'm like, crap, you know I need to think.
Pop quiz.
Oh, gosh. See, I get stressed out even more now. Oh, gosh. The nicest thing, well, sorry, a little sappy, but don't worry. So when I had someone help me when I was packing up for ALC, which AIDS Life Cycle. So I was going there. It was, 3 years ago? Maybe 4. But it was Paula who helped me back up and get all ready. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, and, well, side note, she'd help me clean up my apartment for my mom. Ooh. Never done that before. Anyways, but then right at the end, so 7 days of San Francisco down to LA, she flew to LA and met me at the ending. I'm like, what? Who does it?
See, now this is going to look like I asked you this specifically to get something about me.
Oh, well.
But I did not.
Pop in the questions.
I had no idea that was going to be your answer.
Well, okay, see, I mean, it happens, and at least I have a lot to choose from. But no, I was just, well, and I still am to this day. I'm like, what? You did that for me.
I couldn't wait for you to get back home. I had to get out there to you.
Gosh, I'm definitely a, what do you call it, words of affirmation girl. I love that. And yeah, doing, but saying, I'm like, what? Just me, I'm a little dork, you know. I'm like,
no, you're far from. Speaking of words of affirmation, when my brother passed away, I had an idea for a Christmas gift for my parents.
Yeah.
And I wrote to, and this was before the internet. This was all snail mail. I wrote to elementary school friends, high school friends, college friends, teachers, business associates, friends in general, and wrote a letter to each one of them, included a self-addressed stamp postcard, and just asked, what comes to mind when you think of Tommy? If you could please write it down, send it back, I would appreciate it. And then I compiled all those, typed them all out, and put them into a book and gave one to each of my parents.
Oh, and sorry, side note, I don't know if she said Tommy is her brother.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Away
Yeah, back in 95. So I gave my parents each a copy. And Mom kept hers on her nightstand till the day she died. She always had it right there with her. When your 40th birthday came up, knowing that your words of affirmation is your love language, I thought about doing the same type thing. But time was really of the essence. So, and this goes to my kindest thing someone has done for me, and it was multiple people that did it. And this was before COVID was really raging here in the U.S. Zoom was not really known other than, outside of the business world. But I went onto your Facebook page and made a list of all your friends. A lot of them I had never met, did not know, including family members as well, and reached out to them and said, hey, Aubrey's 40th birthday party's coming up.
Yep.
Would you mind making a little video and sending it to me so I can put it together for one big montage? Happy birthday, happy 40th birthday, Aubs. And to me, the kindness was from each one of them that took the time to make those videos. Because for a lot of them, particularly some of the people my generation, filming yourself is just not something you do, and it's uncomfortable, but they did it and sent it in. And people, I had even people say, I mean, how this shows the kindness is they had no clue who I was. And somehow, you know, it was getting down to the wire. And I mean, I got a lot of response. But then people would say, oh my gosh, I didn't know who you were. And I just saw a post of Aubs and now I know the connection. And is it too late to send a video? But just having all those people respond to something that I sent that they didn't know who I was, I just showed to me their kindness. And it was a huge act that they did on my behalf.
Oh, man. See, she turns it around to me. You're so sweet, babe.
Oh, no.
No, that is a good thing, and maybe we should find that video and I'll link it or something. But I'm like, I remember that. I'm like, what? I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, my 40th birthday, you know, I'm like, oh, the world is over. I cannot believe it. 40 what? My life, it's just crap, you know, and so I'm like all down and then Paula rolls up and is like, oh, by the way, hey, let's look at this video. And I'm like, she got people from all over. I'm like,
well, I think a huge part of it is a testament to you and the kindness that you have shown them that made them want to reciprocate by doing their videos. But for me, they were kind to me in submitting the videos.
well, that is cool. But I'm like, yeah, everybody needs to know my wife. Come on.
They might not think that. What's the kindest thing you've ever done for someone?
Oh, wait, we need to turn it on to you.
I just said what it was. The kindest thing someone did for me was those videos that came in for me.
All right, what the kindest thing?
You've ever done for someone?
Oh, the kindest thing I've ever done for someone?
I know that's hard to answer, right?
Yeah, I cannot.
You want to think you're a kind person, but then when you have to start naming it
Yeah.
and make it the most, then it's
Yep.
like, oh gosh, maybe I'm not such a good person after all.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Taking it to that level is like a little too much almost, but like little, get chopped into little things.
Okay.
And hey, Melissa, by the way.
Hey,
And
Melissa.
So, okay. Crap. Little things.
How about the letter we sent to Chick-fil-A?
Oh, yeah.
That could count for both of us.
Well, yeah, mainly her. So check this out.
No, but it was us. So we'll take this as a both of us. We get a lot of flack, not a lot of flack. We get flack from time to time for visiting Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A has been known to, donate to anti-LGBTQ organizations.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a sit out or a kiss out, you know, at Chick-fil-A several years back where they wanted gay people to go and stand in the parking lot and kiss and just kind of rub it on their face. And it was one of your friends, I don't know who it was, but he made the comment, turn this into a teaching moment. Instead of trying to rub their face with the, not that the kissing is a wrong message, but like, hey, we're going to do what we want to do. He said, I continue to visit Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. And at that point we were as well. But he said he does it so that the employees there can see we're people. Who cares what anybody's sexuality is? In the Chick-fil-A restaurants here in our town, they have always been exceptionally nice to us.
Yeah. They even know our names.
Yeah, they made a point of learning our names. They call us by name. If I'm by myself, they ask how you are. They ask how Lucy is. And it's just part of the organization in the way Chick-fil-A is. And these guys don't care. They could care less about, couldn't. See, I never get that one right. Which is it? I couldn't
care less.
They couldn't care less.
Yeah.
About our sexuality. That's such a small part of who we are. Yeah. So Aubrey and I sat down and we wrote a letter to corporate. And we had, as we've been going through the Chick-fil-A, you know, we'd always write down the employee's name so we could in turn call them by name when we'd go back to visit.
Yeah, big thing for me. I'm like, I need to write it down to me so I can remember.
Yeah, that's the only way I remember. I have to write it down. Yeah. So we had a list of names and we wrote to corporate and told them about the restaurant and how we, you know, how all companies should treat their customers the way that these three that belong to Mike Holmes here in Peachtree City, the way they treat their customers, and did a little, blurb about each one, about, certain acts that they had done that really hit home for us and really made us feel welcome when we go into the restaurant and appreciated when we go into the restaurant.
Right, yeah.
And after that, oh my gosh, the employees would come up to us one by one, and it really meant a lot to each one of them that had been specifically named and called out for doing their job.
Yeah, yeah. They see her car now, and they will run
away.
No, they're all about it. I think it's so cute.
But yeah, I mean, I have said several times in different Saturday live streams, just be kind, because it's so simple to do, and it makes a huge impact. It can turn somebody's day around on a dime, and make them feel good about themselves, about life in general, and it's free to do.
Yeah,
that's the best part.
And that's the key point here. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
Just take the time and attention and tell someone thank you.
Exactly. So I want to say thank you to those that did the video for Aubrey. Thank you, Robert, for your Monday through Friday texts, sometimes on the weekend.
Yeah.
And Savannah and Nor, thank you for reconnecting.
Yeah.
It means the world to me.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Very good. And Melissa down there, thank you.
Oh,
sorry,
Melissa.
I can't, bring up your comment. Still working on that. But, yes, it is amazing. And
Melissa is can sometimes be my anti-anxiety medication.
There you go.
Yeah, I really.
I'm all over the place. I mean,
and she's like for me, Melissa is, although she's younger than me, she's the senior mother. I hate to be the mother in charge.
Yeah.
I don't want, I second guess myself or question what I'm doing, but I can go to Melissa, and things that a mother should know, Melissa knows them.
She's in my seat, mom in charge.
Exactly. That's what I don't want to be, is mom in charge.
Yep. Okay, we'll use Melissa for that.
All right. So thank you, Melissa.
Yep. Fantastic. We'll make sure to go out there today and say thanks for whatever.
Or smile.
But yes, smile's good too. But overall, just remember that you matter, your story matters, and you belong here.
And guys, thank you. You're all so kind to watch us. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks. See y'all.